years later, like in my previous first chapter, you don't realise until years later that it actually came from a book. So that's another thing. And, well, another film that used to scare the pants off me, big time, especially the shower scene, no, the bathroom scene, let me get my facts straight. The lady in the bathtub. And, yeah, the lady in the bathtub used to frighten me to tears. I used to run out the room whenever that scene came on. Again, my dad used to tease me a lot about it. But, only playfully, like, he's a lovely person. Love you, Dad. So, what can I tell you about The Shining? Well, it has, obviously, the Kubrick version, I think came out in 1980. I may have to check that again. And we have the version that Stephen King came out with in 1990, starring Steven Weber and the delightful Rebecca De Mornay. And we have the young actor whose name has completely eluded me, playing Danny Torrance. Yeah, it wasn't until after I'd seen both versions. Let me get my background in. I'm not doing very well. After seeing both versions, I must admit I enjoyed both of them, really. Even though the 1990 followed more from the book, but didn't get much of a good review, even though it was directed by Stephen King and he played in it as, he played in it as the character who's the composer. He played the composer of the band when the hotel comes to life for the final evening, where all the ghosts try to get Jack to basically murder his son and wife. And, at first I thought, is that King? And, of course, when I looked at the credits, it turns out that it was Stephen King, but he was going under the alias of Gage Creed. Spoiler for a future episode, which isn't coming just yet. So, yeah. It's alright, I'm getting there. So, with regards to The Shining, there we go, more things falling off the shelf again. We need a bigger place. Right, there we go. With regards to The Shining, yay! DVD I bought, with the iconic Jack Nicholson playing Jack Torrance, and most memorable scenes of Shelley Duvall. Oh God, I'm terrible. Yeah, I've seen this film a million times. When I come to do a YouTube channel, I cannot remember any of the names. That's just perfect, isn't it? I'm not a very good fan if I can't remember half the names on cue. And so yeah, the memorable Grady twins. This version I bought from HMV for £2.10, which was the other DVD that I got when I bought. It must be. Oh, it's around here some. Oh yeah, up there, little it. Yeah, this was the other DVD that I bought when I bought them both, and I thought I'll save this one for this chapter because didn't want to over divulge into it on chapter 1. So in the book, there's a lot of things that happen in it that you obviously don't that you're obviously not expecting in the Kubrick version. So you got things like the fire hose attacking Danny, like a snake spitting water at him with its sharp teeth. And then you've got the lady in the bathtub, who does a lot more than just getting out, making out with Jack Nicholson. No, getting out and making out with Jack Torrance, and then turning into a proper grimy zombie, oozy, drippy, cackling wench. In the 1990s version, more related to the book, the lady in the bathtub, whose name again eludes me, she's even more scarier in the 1990 series than Kubrick's version. So King did a really good job of adding that in and keeping the scare factor there, because she proper did creep me out, even though I watched it in my late teens, early 20s, compared to when I watched Kubrick's when I was about 4 or 5 years old. You know, some films do still scare me, you know, if done properly, you know, and King's a good at doing that. If you're into it, that is, you know. Obviously, if you're not, then it's probably just going to bore you to death, but hey ho. So, we have quite, just looking at my script book. Yes, of course. Yeah. Okay, what the hell? Let's just talk about that bloody carpet pattern. You know, it's not exactly, you know, beautiful as such, you know. But it has become more, I think it's, in my personal opinion, it's become more iconic than Jack Nicholson and Stephen King and Stanley Kubrick and all the other characters put together. I think without that carpet, I don't think anyone would get any of the movie references that you see with that carpet in. And it's not just in movies either. It's, you can find it on Amazon. You can find cushions, you can find socks, underpants, knickers, everything. Did I say curtains? Yeah, you can get it on curtains, neckties, and even in there was a girl's a childy video game, and on the floor, on the pattern is that blooming carpet pattern. I mean, obviously, the Overlook Hotel has, in Kubrick's version, very descriptive, colourful, and if not, you know, sort of eyesore patterns. But the most infamous one, which you'll see on the thumbnail when you click this video, that is the one that people most associate more with The Shining. And, you know, you got the things like the key factor, obviously the key factor to the room 217, not 237. And I think the story behind that one is, in the book it's 217, but when they filmed the ski resort location, the hotel managers didn't want to have the room. I think it was that they didn't have a room 217, so it was changed to 237 because they were worried that it would become only popular for The Shining, and people would just want to cram and stay in it. Well, personally, if I was able to get to that ski resort, I would absolutely love to just sit and read the book in that room with a scary bath lady, and watch the film as well, you know, and fully immerse into it. Maybe I would do that one day, because that's just me. We'll see. I need to update my passport first. So yeah, you've got that, and so when you run out of ideas, when you fully prepare yourself for something like this, and then all of a sudden your brain just goes boink, like you just hit your head over with a Roquet mallet, like Steven Weber does in the 1990 version. I thought that part was hilarious, and there's actually a YouTube video of him just over an hour long of him just going boink. The hedges. Now, as it was stated in another YouTube video that I found, which I shall try and find and link in the comments below, in the description below when I get a chance. There is a link where it states that there is actually no maze at the hotel resort, and when you see the opening shot and you can see the helicopter propellers viewing the Overlook Hotel as depicted, where's the maze? Where's the maze that Danny and Wendy go running through when Jack's busy either zoning out or just typing away? And the speaking of hedges, in the book and in the 1990 TV miniseries by Stephen King again, you've got the hedge monsters. You've got the rabbit, you've got the dog, and then you've got the two ferocious lions. I think it would have been really good to have that in I keep saying Stephen King, in Stanley Kubrick's, because they've got the same initials, in Stanley Kubrick's film, even just for like one clip, whereas in the series they kind of draw out through one or two different episodes, and right at the end, and my phone just went off. I think it would have been a really good scene, but of course, I guess back, I think, like say in 1990, they didn't have the means to create such graphics back then. I mean, CGI was only just starting to develop in the early 90s. I could be wrong. I'm not saying that's a solid thing, because, well, I'm not used to do. I've only been doing this for like a week, so and it's kind of, I'm getting into it slowly. So when it comes to the next episode, which hopefully will be next week and on Monday, not a day later because of technical difficulties, maybe then I can get more info out, and give people more insight. I mean, of course, most of Stephen King's film adaptations have been around for years, but funnily enough, not a lot of people have seen them, or even heard of them. So this might help a little bit. So yeah, we with The Shining, you've got little Danny Torrance, who has this gift, and he thinks he's the only one, and he does kind of feel weird. When you read the book, you kind of feel like you're in his shoes, which is how it's supposed to turn out, which is how it's meant to be perceived, and you start to visualize itself. I mean, of course, when you've watched one version for so many years, when you read the book, for me, you tend to just envision Danny as Danny Torrance, played by the young, at the time, Danny Lloyd, who's now an adult and a teacher, and you when you've seen the film and you read the parts where Tony intervenes, and when I was reading it, I couldn't help but start doing that. Sorry, it's that hand. And and you start to fully immerse yourself into his character, and then you meet Dick Halloran, the chef, the cook, who presents himself to Danny both verbally outspoken and obviously with the shine. And even when you've seen the film or read the book more than once, you still feel that magical feeling that, and that kind of relief, like, oh my god, I'm not alone, and this is bloody great, this is awesome. Much to the point where Dick says to Danny, when he takes him aside for a minute before he leaves for California, he tells him to use the shine and give it your best shot. So Danny, bless him, he gives it all he's got and more or less turns into like a loud giant speaker in Dick's mind, just saying the words, "Hi, Dick!" And it's like when a microphone is too close to a speaker and it sends a boom out. And of course, unfortunately, it makes Dick's nose bleed, but, he says it's no problem. So, which I'm obviously quoting from the 1990 series and not the film, where he only says, "Would you like some ice cream, Doc?" So, I love both versions, but what's annoyed me most lately is when it comes out on TV or it's come out on DVD like this one. Even though I love the film, what started happening is that certain scenes have been cut. Now, you might know which scenes I'm referring to. You've got the scene where Wendy's running through the hotel looking for Danny and trying to avoid Jack at all costs. And she comes across the ballroom, and the scene I remember is they're all the ghosts, all the people who were there are now skeletal and covered in cobwebs. And I just thought, why'd they cut that scene out? And very much at the beginning, when Tony is telling Danny, or showing Danny, the dangers of what's to come when they stay at the Overlook and over the winter, is when he's had these flash scenes. The version I remember is that he passes out. Jack's still at the Overlook for his interview, and Wendy's called the nurse in, or doctor, to see him and to ask him, how is he feeling? Has he ever had visions like this before? Granted, I was only probably about 6 or 7 or 8 years old when I first watched it, so my memory's a bit rusty on what the nurse is asking him. And I just thought, why would they cut that out? And then you've got the scenes where Danny's watching Bugs Bunny, with he's playing with his trucks, and Wendy says she's going to talk to Dad. That they've cut that scene out as well. So there's also there are a few more scenes, but the other one I do remember is when Stuart Ullman's showing them around the hotel and showing Jack and Wendy where they'll be staying for the duration. And there's a scene just before it changes to Danny and Dick. There's a scene where Jack turns around with his hands in his pockets, quite happily saying it's very homey. Why would they cut that out? You'd think when you buy the DVD that everything would be in it, but for some reason it's, most of the scenes have been cut, and it just makes the film really, really short. So, I don't know. Maybe it's because of how today's society is or something like that, I'm not sure. But, yeah. again, if I've missed anything, please mention below in the comments, and thank you to those who subscribed in my previous and first and only video at the moment, until I upload this one. Thank you for subscribing, but please do leave a comment below. And for those who are watching this for the first time, please do click subscribe and ring, and when the bells, when you see the bell, click on it, because that's when I'll be uploading another video. And sorry it's so dark, because we're hitting the quite the season of winter coming. It's getting really cold outside, so depending on the light of my laptop and the kitchen behind me. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra!